We have two sales reps, the sad rep and the happy rep. The sad rep is working a boiler room environment, making 150, 200 cold calls every single day. 30% of the SDRs at this company are hitting quota. They're not part of that 30%. They're on pace in year one to make $40,000 a year, and within 6 months, they're already out in the market looking for a new SDR role elsewhere. The happy rep loves their job. 70% of SDRs at this company are hitting quota. They're part of that 70%. He's on pace to make $120,000 in his first year, and there's a direct path to promotion within a year and a half, 2 years, as he continues to crush it to move on to an account executive role. Now, this sad rep interviewed at the happy rep's company, but they didn't prepare. They thought, I got charm, I got charisma, I got some riz, I'll wing it. Whereas the happy rep treated this like a sales conversation, where if he closed that conversation and he only had one chance at closing it, it will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is how you have to view a sales interview. By the end of this video, you will be on your way to being the happy sales rep, because you're gonna know how to prepare for an interview, how to crush every round of the interview process, including a special exercise that might get assigned to you. Questions to expect, questions to ask, email templates, how to close every conversation to continue to move in the process leading to the job offer, and secret tactics no one else is using in their interview process that will set you up for success and separate you from the pack, getting you the offer you deserve. Now, I realize, guys, this video is very intensive. There's a lot to it. It's a long video. Use the chapters below to skip ahead depending on where you are in your interview prep. This video assumes you already have an interview set up. If you don't, or are struggling to get conversations set up at your target companies with hiring managers, check out these 3 videos here on how to do just that. Here's me in high school, I think probably my senior year, with my favorite teacher, one of my favorite teachers in high school, Brother Larry, RIP, passed away a couple years ago. But he always used to say to us before a test, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. The same holds true for a tech sales interview. Your prep consists of 3 components. Number 1, the person. Who am I meeting with? Name pronunciation. This happened a couple years ago. I was interviewing for an SDR role at a large tech company, and I mispronounced the interviewer's name for an entire hour. I was ignorant to the fact at the start of the conversation to simply ask, hey, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I didn't do that, and guess what, guys? I did not move forward in that interview process. Commonalities. Maybe I went or you went to the same college, university, as the person who's interviewing us. That will help us build a connection during that conversation. Background and tenure. What has this person's career look like? What does their career progression look like at this specific company? And what do they care about? A hiring manager cares about different things than a VP of sales. Now, all of this research on the person will help you prepare for potential questions they might ask, but more importantly, it's gonna help you prepare for the questions you ask the interviewer. Components 2 and 3, the product and the company. What does the product do? What does it solve? Use ChatGPT to understand 3 problems the product solves in language a 5th grader can understand. ICP, ideal customer profile. Who is the ideal customer? What do they look like? What do they care about? What is their job title? What are their priorities? Every tech company has demos of the product either on YouTube or their company website. Watch them all. Read every single case study on the company website. G2.com, guys, it is a gold mine in terms of researching a company, more specifically the product, because G2.com has reviews from current active customers, both positive reviews, negative reviews, more importantly, the reasons why that company bought the product, the problems that company had that the product solves. Absolute gold mine. Any news articles, read them all. Understand the competitive landscape of the industry and the market. Who are the other players that this product competes with? What do they look like? What do they do better than this company? What do they do worse? Understand it all. Use repview.com to uncover any potential red flags at a company. What does the quota attainment look like? If it's below 50, 60%, me and you, we want no parts of working there. What is the salary? What is the OTE? If it's below the average, I'm not gonna apply there. And guys, to take a step back, don't get caught up and caught in the weeds by doing research. All it takes here is 30 to 45 minutes to research a company thoroughly. Your research on the person, the product, and the company will help form your compelling reason why. Every interviewer throughout the interview process will ask you, probably multiple times, why do you want to work here? And your answer to that question, it needs to be detailed, specific, and memorized. A great answer to this question includes all three of your prep checklist components. Round number one, HR phone screening. Prior to the call, you will send the HR person an email like this. Simple, short, sweet. It's gonna set the stage. Hey, I'm looking forward to our conversation in a couple days. What to expect during this conversation. 15 to 30 minutes tops. It's not gonna be all that long of a conversation. You'll learn the basics of the role, benefits, perks, 401k, vacation time. That should be discussed. Salary expectations might be discussed. Guys, this is an easy conversation. This is not a conversation to stress about, to overthink. It's easy and it's hard to screw up. Now, what they're looking for. Does this person meet the minimum threshold of experience and performance? Do they fit the job description and the ideal candidate profile that the sales manager and VP of sales is looking for? Now, this one's big. Are they interested in the job? Truly interested in the job, or are they just taking the phone call to take it? Are they likable? Of course, if you're not likable during a conversation with an HR manager, you're not moving to the second round of the interview process. That's a given. Now, this is a simple assessment by the HR manager to make sure you're not a loser, you're not a dud. Most importantly, you're not going to waste the time of the hiring manager, the VP of sales, or anyone else in the sales organization if the HR manager decides to move you forward in the interview process. Questions to expect during this conversation with the HR manager. Walk me through your resume experience. Tell me about yourself. What do you know about the company? What do you know about the role? What do you know about the product? Why did you apply? When can you start? What is your salary expectation? Why are you leaving your current position? Now, this could be a trick here. I don't care how bad your current position is. Do not bash your current employer. That's a big red flag that the HR manager, HR recruiter is looking for. As you can see here, guys, these questions, they're super basic. Every conversation throughout the entire interview process needs to end the exact same way. You need to go for the close. This is a sales interview. I don't care if it's just with the HR person. It's not with the hiring manager or the VP of sales. This is a sales interview. You need to show you're a competent salesperson and go for the close with something like this. Chris, based on what you learned about me throughout our conversation, do you have any concerns that would prevent you from moving me forward in the process? Now, if the HR person or anyone throughout the interview process comes back and says, yes, we do have concerns, ask for more details to address those concerns head on, handle the objection to move the conversation forward, to move you forward in the interview process. If it's a no, awesome. We're moving forward to the next round. You want to ask, what does the next step look like? Get some detail what that looks like, who it's with, and how can I best prepare for that conversation? That'll go a long way. After the call, send a thank you email like this. Everybody throughout the entire interview process, I don't care if you met with them in passing for 2 minutes, you're going to send them a detailed and specific thank you email. As you can see here, guys, it's not all that long. It's short and sweet, but it's specific because it details 2 key takeaways from that specific conversation. Round 2 is a conversation with the hiring manager. This would be your direct manager. You could win this interviewer over before that conversation even starts, and you do that by creating and sending them, prior to the conversation, a detailed SDR sales plan. This could be a Word document or a PowerPoint deck. Don't worry about making it look pretty. That doesn't matter. It's all about what is inside of that sales plan. There are 10 elements to a great SDR sales plan. We're focusing on the core 4. Number 1, SDR and career goals. Here are some examples of what to include. You might be thinking, how do I list out the SDR goals? How would I know what the goals are, what the KPIs are, what's expected of me prior to hopping on that conversation with the hiring manager? How am I going to know that? Secret tactic here. Prior to that conversation, you're going to reach out to current SDRs on the team, set up 15 to 20-minute conversations with them to interview them to understand what are the KPIs, what is the quota, what is the meeting set goal, what is expected of me in my role. This is going to impress the hiring manager. Oh my gosh, this person, prior to the call, went out and spoke with SDRs on my team to best prepare for this conversation. They already know going into this conversation what is expected of them. No one else is going to do that. Element number 2, 30, 60, 90-day plan. What are you going to do to get up to speed to hit those goals that the SDR shared with you? What are you going to do? What does your plan look like? Now, higher levels, you know them, my good friends, higher levels. They have a great video on what to include. Check out this video after you're done with this one. Element number 3, target market. Broken down by industry verticals, company sizes, location, buyer personas, competitive landscape. Now guys, you could use ChatGPT to help here to come up with a breakdown of the company's target market. You just want to make sure you add as much detail to the prompt as possible. Include a cold call script and a cold email template that you would send to a real prospect. Find a real prospect, do some research, do some prospecting for the company. Find a real prospect that fits the company's ICP. You can get the entire SDR sales plan with all 10 elements. It's free in the description below. Prior to the call, send an email to the hiring manager like this one. It's simple, it sets the stage, it will impress. Nobody does this. Now to take this to the next level, connect with the hiring manager on LinkedIn, and when they become a first-degree connection, send them a personalized LinkedIn video message. What you're seeing on the screen right here is a personalized LinkedIn video message that I sent to the person that hired me in my current role 3 years ago. As you can see here with his response, it impressed. This conversation, it typically lasts 60 minutes, and the hiring manager is looking for these 3 things. Are you confident? Are you coachable? Are you prepared? You could win this evaluation process and check off all 3 of those boxes by doing this. Chris, I have 10 prospects that fit your ICP that I'm prepared to cold call. You against me putting my phone on speaker and making these dials. Interested in any feedback you have to improve my pitch. Most job candidates are all talk. Very few can actually walk the walk. By doing something like this, you're showing I can walk the walk. I can do the job before I get the job. This is what they're looking for, and this de-risks the interview process. It de-risks them continuing in the interview process because this will wow and impress. This also leads to the exercise. I'm seeing this more and more popular in tech sales, where job candidates are asked to do some sort of assignment or exercise around their ability to do the job as an SDR. It could be one of these 3 things. Number 1, find a prospect, research a prospect, and write a cold email. 2, cold call role play. This is probably the most popular of the 3. Or 3, discovery call role play. I've had to do all 3 of these activities, these exercises, in previous tech sales interviews for SDR job openings. The last 2 I did was a cold call role play and the discovery call role play. And guys, I completely bombed them. I did so bad, but guess what? I still got job offers because they're not looking for you to be perfect. And if you have no experience, they're not looking for you to do all that well whatsoever. All they're looking for here is, are you coachable? So when you do this, and even if you do bad, ask for feedback, welcome feedback, and ask to do it again. That's how you crush the exercise. Questions to expect. Why did you apply? Again, you're gonna get asked that question by every interviewer throughout the process. Why sales? Why do you wanna be an SDR? How do you handle rejection? Walk me through your initial outreach process. Pretend I'm a prospect. Describe our product to me. What problems does the product solve? Questions to ask the hiring manager. Hot take here. I think the questions you ask the hiring manager are much more important than your responses to the hiring manager's questions. I've spoken with lots of hiring managers, lots of sales managers, SDR managers for this video, and they feel the exact same way because the questions you ask are much more telling of your sales ability than how you respond to an interview question that they can potentially ask you. You gotta ask good questions. What separates the top rep on your team? What do they do differently than everybody else? How is success measured? What are the specific KPIs I'm measured against? What percent of reps north in seat 6 months are hitting quota? Why 6 months? Because at 6 months, you're off ramp. You should be kind of knowing what you're doing. And if it's a low percentage of reps north of 6 months are hitting quota, you want to run away. It's probably not a company you want to work for. Tools available. You need certain tools. You need a Zoom info. You need a Salesforce for your CRM to keep track of all your tasks and things like that. If that isn't available to you, that's a big red flag. When was the last SDR on your team promoted to account executive? How long does it typically take somebody who performs in their role to promote to an account executive? These are great questions to ask a hiring manager. Again, we're going to close out that conversation the right way by going for the close. Chris, based on our conversation, what hesitations do you have about me joining your team? Full disclosure, I've never used this tactic I'm about to share in any sort of interview process, but I saw this on LinkedIn. I think it's brilliant, and going forward, when I am interviewing for sales roles, I will be implementing this secret tactic into my process, and I think it's gonna really help me get the role, the job offer I deserve. No one else will do something like this. After the interview, you wanna have a reference or 2 of your send an email to the hiring manager vouching for you as a candidate. Here's the email template I plan on using. I'll just ask my reference to fill in the 3 reasons why. Guys, yes, this is a bit audacious, but you need to be audacious. You need to be creative. You need to do things other people aren't willing to do to get a job. And typically, in a tech sales interview, at some point, usually at the end, they're going to ask for references and call your references. Get ahead of it and have them reach out prior to the ask. Also, don't forget to send the thank you email to the hiring manager as well. Round 3, round robin interview, typically including a conversation with the VP of sales. What to expect: 15 to 30-minute conversations, maybe a 60-minute conversation with the VP of sales. Other SDRs and members of other teams will be hopping on calls with you to interview you. So it could be an SDR on the current team. It could be somebody on a completely different team that interfaces with the SDR team. Maybe it's the account executive manager. Maybe it is the contracts manager. They'll have conversations with you to vet you out to make sure you can work effectively with their teams. You want to ask the HR and hiring manager for the emails of those you will meet with, and you want to send an email with the sales plan to everybody involved in those conversations prior to those conversations being set up. You want to ask lots of questions, especially to current SDRs. And the questions should be focused on uncovering any red flags that will prevent you from being successful if you join the team as an SDR. Of course, we're going to send everybody a thank you email after the call. What they're looking for here, guys, are you a culture fit? If you've made it to this stage, you're qualified to be an SDR. You're not making it to the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th round of an interview with a round robin interview, a panel interview, or a meeting with the VP of sales. If the hiring manager doesn't think you can effectively do the job, but they're making sure, again, de-risking, they're making sure you're a culture fit. You're a good person. You can get along with others on the team. And of course, we're going to close out that interview. If it's with a VP of sales, I would encourage you to go for an assumptive close. When can I start? When you get the offer, watch this video right here. It is the best SDR daily schedule to make sure you're hitting the goals that hiring manager gives you.